Hey, and welcome to this week's special edition. And ladies, you better buckle up because this is where you are going to be held accountable for being the absolute highest version of yourself and totally embracing and embodying yourself, especially the single ladies. Now, how many of us have lived our lives on society norms? Like it's normal that I should have a significant other. It is normal that I should have children. It's normal that I should have this amount of money. Well, this is the show that is about to blow all of that out the window so that you can literally manifest what you want to call in, because what you want also wants you. So if you ever thought to yourself, there's a desperation about finding that partner, you're going to find out what it's going to take. So I am about to bring on a beautiful woman. This woman has transitioned from the corporate world for over 20 years and into a place and a space that she herself has mastered. And speaking of mastery, she's a Reiki practitioner, and she will bring that wonderful opening of heart through her Reiki, helping you to release toxic relationships and awaken your intuition. So get ready to meet this beautiful lady because this is going to be a grand show. And furthermore, it's also going to have a seed that you're not going to want to miss at the end with a meditation visualization. Hello, beautiful Vanessa.
Hello, Terri. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I feel so blessed to be here today.
Oh, I am even more blessed. And I tell you what, our listeners are going to be very, very, very blessed because there are so many people out there in the single lane. And, times are different. Times have changed. It's not about meeting your loved one, significant other at a dance or at the local disco or, at a friend's party. It doesn't happen like that anymore. Times have changed. But you are all about not settling. And I think that is probably the key to where we can hit the ground running. In fact, you've even got a podcast on being single and not settling. Would you like to really just unwrap that and what that means when you say own yourself being single and don't settle?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why I created that podcast and the name Single and Not Settling, because it's about owning who you are and accepting who you are in your time and your season of being single. And I'm in my early 40s, I'm 41, and I've spent a lot of my life dating, wanting that relationship, wanting the companionship. And I've got to the point now I'm just like looking back on that journey. I'm like, how did I get here? And it was unpacking my patterns, unpacking any traumas, unpacking my past relationships and how I contributed to being in that mediocre, comfortable relationship, not being able to speak up, finding my voice and setting boundaries. And there's not much out there for single women to unpack this with. Like, there's not a lot of resources for single women. And it's hard. Like, anyone who is dating at the moment knows that it's hard. Connecting with men is hard. Dating apps have made it nearly impossible for anyone to have a conversation and communicate like adults. And single women are done.
Yeah.
Single
So
women
bad.
are done.
Oh,
It
so
really
bad.
is.
I'm hearing you. I hear it from so many of my single friends. And I'm wondering somehow too, because when you're not looking, whether there's more of a chance that you actually attract anyway. Because, I have, been kind of in a position where I could have met somebody else in the most darndest of places and spaces. But I think that's because I definitely feel a sense that, I have love, and I know that you're going to talk about this later in the show and why it's so important to love yourself first. But I was very fortunate because even though my husband is very ill, in fact, fatally ill, I had love like, a million lifetimes. So the love that he gave me was so unconditional, and I say it like it's past tense, even though he's still alive. But because of his situation, it's completely changed. But I feel that he has instilled anything in me, like a healer himself, that I may have not had from, my youth, because I know what that's like. But do you want to open up why it's so important for people to, find themselves first and love themselves first before they start looking for someone else to try to fill that void?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a thing, like when we fill a void of what we think that we want, we tend to choose the men who are the exciting, that they're intense. And that's a red flag, right? And we just want to fill a void. We just want that dopamine hit. We just want to have the attention, the validation. And in that moment, we can really choose the wrong person. And going on that path of the wrong person could be a narcissist, a toxic relationship, and we're ignoring all the red flags because we just want something or someone to fill the void. But then knowing that, and this is what they don't teach us in school, which is what I think we should be learning in school, because it would have saved me years of heartbreak. And that is, it's like you can have that love with yourself first. You can have that companionship and that intimacy with yourself. You can explore yourself, which has been something that I've, learned in the last few years, that I can give myself that pleasure that I'm seeking from an external source, but I can give that to myself. I can build up the confidence in myself. I don't need someone else to give that to me from outside. I can find that in me. Like knowing that we already have that inside of us, but we forget because we go through our childhood, we get programming from our parents, from our teachers, from our authority figures. We forget who we are. And it's kind of then in our adulthood, we're unpacking all of our stuff from childhood and then coming back to who we really are. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at today. And I love myself, flaws and all. I accept all my mistakes that aren't really mistakes. They just put you back on the path to find out who you really are. And with all of
Well,
that for me,
when you think about it, Vanessa, the people that love you the most know you the most. Like they see you for the highs and the lows. It's not just about, the exciting and, like you say, the dopamine hit that people are looking for. Which can be like a drug anyway. So just to reiterate what you said there, if you're looking for someone to give you that dopamine hit, that's not necessarily going to be the right person. And I love the fact that, you are about loving yourself and finding yourself first, because that does create a kind of a higher vibrational element of truth. But I'm just going to go back here for a moment. Let's just take a step back, because you're such a beautiful speaker. And that was not always the way it was, because when you were young, you actually had a stutter and you were actually made fun of by a male teacher. So how did that have an effect on you later on? And obviously now you're healed from that. Or like many of us, we can all have a stutter now and again anyways, if we're tired or whatever.
Yeah.
But how did that affect your voice and expressing your truth?
Yeah, look, it actually affected me in a few ways. So I remember when I was in primary school and the teacher, male teacher, had asked us to read the start of a paragraph, and I couldn't get the words out. And I was trying and I was stuttering, and he started laughing at me. And in my mind, I then associated men making fun of me because it wasn't only the first time that it happened. And then I couldn't speak up because I had a stutter and I was shy. And I'm like, well, if I can't talk, if I'm shy, I'm not going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to ask any questions. And I think it impacted my learning a little bit as well. But then also there was another example of my sister's boyfriend, young at the time, he was 17 years old, and he drew like a picture of me randomly. I don't know even how that came about. And it was a picture of an elephant. And I'm like, what? And I felt unsafe around men because it made me feel that I wasn't enough, that there was something wrong with me, that I can't be authentic. I can't show up as I am because someone is going to laugh at me.
Right.
And I only came across that realization a few years ago because I've always been shy. I've never been the one to ask questions or be assertive. But then knowing where that's all come from and then giving, myself what I needed in that moment was very powerful. So for me, it then impacted and showed up in future relationships. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was in a relationship with someone and it was very mediocre. It was very comfortable. And I didn't know any different because I thought maybe this is what a relationship is meant to be like. Because like I said, you can't really talk to your parents about that. Like my parents weren't divorced, they were together, but it was just a routine marriage. Mum was a caregiver at home, dad went to work, mum cooked, dad did the stuff outside. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is what a relationship is meant to be. And then he had cheated on me. And I thought, oh, okay, what do I do now? And I remember I was angry and I expressed some words, but I ended up taking him back probably about 3 months later because I was told by someone else, this is what you should do. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know any better. I can't speak up for myself. I'm just going to continue. And it continued for another 3 years, but there was no trust. There was no excitement in the relationship. I didn't feel desired. I didn't really feel loved. I felt more obligated to be there. And I'm like, well, how do I break up with him? Like, how do I get out of this? And there was this moment where I was just sitting in the car park, just feeling really deflated and depressed. And I said, look, we just need a break. And like, I think it's a breakup. It's not a break, it's permanent.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that was when it shifted from, okay, now we're going to do life without this relationship. And I was now in my late 20s. So it was a long relationship. So most of my 20s, I was in this comfortable, mediocre relationship that I was cheated on and then took him back because someone told me to. And then I'm like, okay, now how do I do life? Like, what do I do with myself?
And this is exactly what the Genius Zone is all about. It's about, taking that pain, turning it into your power. That old version of yourself that settled suddenly lives by discovering what you're looking for in yourself first and finding that in you. So, I mean, I've heard you say too backstage that you kind of enjoy your own company, and it's almost like, this is, something that, you have actually learned to love doing. And, I love your challenge that you're talking about. And we're going to be talking about the ebook that you've written and some of those elements. And, I guess let's just go through them. So do you believe that trusting the universe for timing is an important aspect of, what we want to call into our life, even with a male mate? So rather than thinking, why isn't it happening now? And where is he or where is she? Do you believe that Gabby Bernstein's got a good point when she says trust the universe's timing?
Yeah, and look, I'm going to be real because I'm real talk, right? I know I'm single, and there's a lot of single women that are being like, "Where is he?" Like, I'm trusting the universe. I'm surrendering. What is going on? Why isn't it happening for me? And I'm spiritual, yes, but there are some times when I'm just like, universe, what are you doing to me? Like, why are you giving me another lesson? Why did I choose this man? What is he mirroring back at me? Enough with the lessons, right? So, and that's what we do. We go through these moments of, when we're single, like, well, what am I doing wrong? Do I need some coaching? Am I talking wrong? Do I have to play a game? Do I do this? Do I do that? There are so many resources out there of how to find someone. But then it's like, if I come back to things outside of a relationship about trusting the timing, about manifesting abundance and, what I'm wanting to call in, then it happens. But for the relationship part, it just hasn't worked out so far. And I'm like, you know what? I'm pinning that and then trusting that this path or the nudge that I've got right now is more focused on my life, traveling, my business, helping other women, building a coaching program for confidence. It's all of that stuff now. Because yes, I do still believe that you do trust the universe, but again, I'm honest. I had real talk on my podcast and I'll do it here as well. Sometimes it's a struggle to trust the universe when it gives you too many lessons.
Yes, absolutely. And, I guess it's just finding that faith though, isn't it? So you also are big on the healing of the heart and taking ownership of your patterns. So, healing those patterns and traumas. Why is it so important? And I know that because you happen to be a Reiki practitioner as well, you can help people to open up their heart. Why is that so important for them to heal first?
Yeah, because we go through life, we get disappointed, frustrated, we get heartbroken. We have experiences, not just with men or relationships, but with friendships and family. And if we hold those emotions in, they get stuck in our chakras, so our energy centers, right? And what that can happen, what happens from that is we then tend to believe that you're not worthy, that the old stories and the old patterns will come up because you're feeling a certain way. You're not in a higher vibration. You're feeling very low. You're going to think the bad things about yourself. You're going to believe that there's no good men out there. You're going to believe that you're never going to find someone. And that's a repeating story you're going to be telling yourself. You're going to close your heart. You're not going to open your heart. And it's not just opening your heart to a relationship or a man. It's opening your heart to life to show you how good it can actually be. It's, closing off from opportunities that you may be missing that are right in front of you because you're focused on the bad, the negative, what people did to me. I can't move on. I'm in regret. I'm in apathy, all of the things. But when you work on knowing what your patterns are, it's hard work because you actually have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, this is why this happened. This is how I contributed to it somehow. But also knowing that you have the power within you to heal yourself through either meditations, visualizations, Reiki, energy work, to release all of that. Breath work even is such a powerful tool to release all of that stuff that's stuck in you, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
once
The
you
life
do,
force.
absolutely. And then once you do, you open yourself up to this new world. It's like your sight changes. It's like you can see things differently. I can't explain it, but it's just like things that you were there you could not see before because you were focused on the negative things, and it's like if we move through all of that stagnant energy that's stuck there, then we can be open to life and it can show you how good it actually is. And that's the power in it. And that's what I get really excited about.
That is awesome. I can hear it. I can hear that excitement in your voice. And, because our listeners love getting the value that comes from, this podcast. I'm going to go through 7 of your pillars. The first one is this one. Would you like to tell us why this, if you would state it, and talk about why this is an important part of a person who comes into your portal to start, to help them to take ownership of themselves?
Absolutely. Look, I'm all about helping people embody the confidence and build what they already have inside of them that they've forgotten. And smiling, saying hello, and making eye contact with someone that you've passed throughout your day can help build that confidence and that muscle memory to know that, okay, I can smile at this person. I can make eye contact with this person and say hello, and it not have to be a conversation, but it gets me out of my comfort zone. It builds the confidence. And if you're a woman and you want to meet men organically, this is another way that you can do it. So yes, you can do this with anyone on that you walk by in a shopping center, but if you're out and you have a guy that's caught your eye, make eye contact with him and smile. This is the first step. And doing that in another space outside of that environment can really help you build your confidence to do that. So again, when you're seeing a guy that you're attracted to, you can kind of look at him and give him a smile and be that invitation for him to come over and talk to you.
Yeah, like what's the worst thing that can possibly happen? And look, I will tell you a little story about this, but one day I was walking through the shopping centre, and this guy walked past me. He's a bit of a bogan, typical Aussie bloke in my neck of the woods. And I thought he was somebody else, and I smiled at him, and then I realised it wasn't who I thought. So I just kept walking. But do you know he approached me? He approached me because I smiled at him. So he took that as, an openness that he could talk to me. Now, ladies, you're going to love this. So pillar number 2.
Pillar number 2 is wear something that makes you feel confident. And that can either be a lipstick, it can be a perfume, it can be a pair of high heels. Me, I love a blazer and high heels. It always makes me feel confident. But like putting on this outfit today to record this podcast with Terri, I wanted an off-the-shoulder top, something floral, something a bit flirty and sexy to make me feel confident. And turns out that we're both wearing similar outfits today, so maybe we're in sync.
Amazing. Absolutely. And you look absolutely beautiful. I do have to say this. And I believe too that when you look good, you feel good. So ladies, that is very important. And I think for the men too, just putting on a bit of a jacket or, a nice pair of shoes, is going to really just step you up and help your confidence. So, yeah, let's go with number 3, empowering these single ladies for confidence.
Yep. So the next one is, so once you've made the eye contact, once you're then wearing something that makes you feel confident in yourself, then you can then start a conversation with someone new. And this doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be a complicated conversation. It can be, if you're waiting for a coffee with someone, it can be, hi, how are you? It can be, oh, what's your favorite coffee order? Just something funny. And it's like disrupting the grid, right? So if you ask someone a question that's like out of the ordinary, they're like, oh, it's unexpected. So they're going to,
I love that.
yeah. So it's like, they're going to stop and be like, oh, this woman's got some confidence. She's asking me this different question I've never heard before. I'm curious. I'm going to engage with her. Right. And you've just done that when you're waiting for a coffee. Right. So this is how easy it can be. It doesn't have to be complicated. There's lots of different ways you can do that.
Love it. Love it. And the next pillar.
So the next one is to write down 3 moments in the last 7 days that have made you feel proud. And it could be you going back to, oh, I smiled at this person and they smiled back and it made me have a spring in my step. It could be that I approached my manager and I asked for more flexibility to work from home, for an example, right? Something that you would normally not do that makes you feel proud. Like if you're a fellow entrepreneur, it could be, oh, I did a story on my social media and I spoke to people about what I do, and that makes you feel proud. So it can be something really small or something really big, but just to write it down makes you then look at it and be like, hey, yeah, look, I'm proud of myself. Look what I'm doing.
Yeah, not to mention getting people into the state as well. So, because you are hosting events, which if I didn't mention, this beautiful lady also hosts events. These kind of, tactics, I won't call them tactics, but they're more about owning yourself and really understanding the human psychology about loving you and really, really stepping into your next level. And by writing that stuff down, by really focusing on what you feel proud about, you're putting it in your body. So when you're walking out there, you're wearing a nice clothes, you're now feeling that sense of pride. You're able to have that quick wit and speak confidently so that you're not all sassy and awkward. And you're making eye contact with people. So these are gold. These are gold nuggets you're getting right here. And here's the next one, because a person who values themselves is also going to know how to do something. Please explain.
That's right. So the next one is saying no or not right now to something that doesn't feel aligned. So looking back at my experience, it's been if I've got an offer from a friend to say, let's go out here tonight or come out to dinner. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it, but I'll go anyway because I feel obligated. This is a perfect moment for you to say, thank you for the invitation, but I prefer a night in tonight. Thank you for understanding. And it's setting those boundaries with people and valuing your peace, respecting yourself, but also honoring your own boundaries. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
because as women, we just think that we can do everything. It's like the octopus. We have everything going at the one time. We have plates everywhere. But what happens to us? What happens to our self-care and our time with ourselves? We tend to
Yeah.
give that away too quickly. So
Yeah.
speaking up with your newfound confidence, whether you're wearing the dress or you've, approached a guy and he's like, oh, he's responded, you have a confidence to then set boundaries and say, thank you, but no, thank you. It's not in alignment with me right now.
Having that emotional safety and that integrity with yourself, to love on yourself, and also you're not watering yourself down too. So I naturally, I do have that, and sometimes I think I could probably give a little bit of it away because I tend to be almost hyper focused. So I'm quite guarded of my time, what I say yes to, who I hang out with. I don't know whether that comes with the territory of, being in my position, because I can tell you one thing for sure. I didn't give much thought to who I hung out with when I was young, and I did settle. I can tell you that 100%. But I'm just loving all of these tips that you're giving. And of course, then we have number 6, the 6th pillar that you teach on.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing that I find with single women is they don't like to do things by themselves. They don't take themselves out on a solo date. And that's how, they'll just accept breadcrumbs from a guy because they just want to go out. But really valuing your peace and your own time, what I really encourage single women to do is go out on a solo date. Go have a coffee, like in a cafe, sit down by yourself, have brunch, go to the movies on your own. I can't believe how many single women haven't been to the cinemas on their own. When I first did it, I found it daunting, but I found it so liberating at the end of it because I didn't have to share my popcorn with anyone. I didn't have to, listen to someone's commentary throughout the movie. When your friend like goes, "Oh, did you?" I'm like, I don't want to, just
I'm
leave me
probably
alone.
one of those people.
But when you're on your own, it's just you, and it's just like the popcorn, the choc top, and it's liberating. And it's all
Yes.
part of building the confidence in yourself to know that, you know what, I'm so good solo. Like, I accept who I am. I love
Mm.
myself, and I'm confident to
Yeah.
go out on my own and have brunch, have dinner. Like, dinner,
Mm.
okay, just maybe don't start with dinner because it can be very hard for some people. But coffee or brunch is perfect for you to start with.
And it's about really liking your own company.
Mm.
And if you don't like your own company, how can you expect anybody else to like it? So,
That's
you
right.
know, I feel like there's a lot that you're teaching that's
Yeah.
instilling this empowerment into us. But this one's got to be one of my favorites. And I know that some of the workshops that I've run, the heaviest workshops around trauma, have actually come back to this powerful teaching. So, would you like to talk to us about it?
Yeah, of course. So this one is writing a love letter to yourself and starting it off by saying, I'm so proud of the woman who didn't settle, or I'm so proud of myself because. And for you, it's a really reflective piece to look back on the positives where you didn't settle, where you made a decision to choose something better for yourself because you are worthy of it, because you are enough. And sometimes those words get thrown around too loosely. But when you
Okay.
really look into that and know that it's like, I deserve peace, I deserve to be with someone who respects me, and being proud of any achievement that you've made. And it could be in your workplace, in your job, knowing that your job or your career wasn't in alignment to your values, or you were asked to work outside of your values, out of your own integrity, and knowing that, okay, this isn't for me anymore. And you make that brave choice to move on. Like, how empowering is that? And
That's
this is
very
what, yeah. And this is what contributes to you having that confidence and really digging deep down in you, because it's in you. It's just been covered with all the layers of everything that's happened to you in your childhood or your early adult life. But
mm,
when you look back on that letter, that love letter to yourself, it's like, damn, like, yeah, like, I'm worthy of a life that is great, like abundant and all the things. And it gives you the opportunity to dream big as well, because once you're in that state, you can dream big, which is what I found with myself as well.
yes, yes. If whatever the mind can conceive, you can achieve. Napoleon Hill. So, yeah, that's so true. So, I love so much about what you're teaching and preaching. And of course, the ebook that you've written as well. Do you want to talk us through that? That's, creating the single empowered woman. So, what do you reckon is the core of that teaching? And probably everything you've just shared too is definitely surrounding it.
Yeah. Look, I think there is a few exercises in that ebook. It's called The Empowered Single Woman. And really knowing who you are firstly, and we go through what your values are. And I remember having to fill out a dating profile on eHarmony years and years ago. And it asked you what your values were, and I didn't know. And I had to really take a hard look at myself and find out what values are and what they mean to me. And when I did that exercise, I found out so much more about myself, but also realized how your values and your partner's values really need to be in alignment. Because, like, if I value health and fitness and my partner doesn't, it may not really work. So knowing
Yeah.
what your values are was like
Mm.
paramount, number one. Number two, I think in that book, the most important one is what your current beliefs are about men and about dating. Because, like
Mm.
me, if you've been let down and disappointed and ghosted and all the terms which I've experienced, you feel a certain way. You feel that there are no good men out there. You feel that dating apps don't work. You feel that singles events are awkward. And it's all that beliefs and that programmings that you have that are holding you back from inviting anything else in. So in this ebook, we go through what your current beliefs are. And this is a chance for you to just drop in, go deep, do a little meditation, and really bring up what's really there for you. And it's a no judgment space. And then you get to rewire it. You get to write down the opposite. So say that one is there are no good men out there. The opposite of that is that there are such genuine, kind men out there that are ready to meet me.
Oh, I love
And that
that.
becomes and that becomes your new belief. Instead of there are no good men. No, there are such genuine, kind men out there who are ready to meet someone like me. Like, how
Love
better
that.
does that sound than the first
Yes.
one?
Oh, write
Yeah.
that down. Write that down, ladies, because that is absolute gold. And this is exciting because we are getting to the part about meditation that you've created called weeding and seeding. So just to give a little bit of a preface, it's almost like I'm kind of visualizing like cultivating the Garden of Eden through your heart. And can you talk about, why you kind of look at it as weeding and seeding, just so we can preface this?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I find is that we have what no longer serves us, the emotions, the stuck energy. We have the scenarios and the situations, the people that have hurt us, that have betrayed us, that we're holding on to. And when you're able to look at what they are and then visualize pulling them out one by one, you're then left with a patch of soil that is waiting for you to plant something new in it. So the soil is cultivated, it's fertilized, and then you then visualize, okay, now all that is gone. What do I now actually want in my life? Now that I've cleared that energy, new energy can come in, new ideas, new opportunities, new dreams. What do I actually want? And then you visualize one thing. So say if you wanted a new car, for example, right? So I want this new car. I'm putting that seed into the soil and it's going to grow. Okay, what do I want? It's like, oh, I'm really looking to change my job. I want to go into this industry. Then that's going into the soil. So it gives you that whole opportunity to do that. And then you then settle and then surrender. We've spoken about that, and trust that the universe or whatever you believe in will grow that. But you've got to tend to that garden in a way. You can't just leave it and go. You've got to be positive. You've got to make different choices, set your boundaries, be confident, say yes to new opportunities, which is where the confidence part comes into. And then I also like to do a little bit at the end where you do look at your little version of you and receive a message from her and give her a message that she needed at one point in her childhood.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. My goodness, are we all ready to experience this? Because I know that I definitely am. And yes, so I can't wait. So what I love is, I love the symbol that you've given and the metaphor, because it is so powerful. Because even, in my world of timeline therapy, what we're actually doing is we're going back and we're literally pulling that weed. We go from the initial first one and it has a domino effect and pulls the root system out. And then we plant. So you coming up with this weeding and seeding is just beautiful, because what everyone can do, and maybe I'll just preface this as we go through it with Vanessa. Maybe you can think about what you would give that inner child. So if you needed to go back and really give that inner child maybe 3 things. I always like to go for 3 things. So it might be love, security, support. I mean, it could be something else completely different. What does that little girl need? Confidence, self-belief, self-empowerment. So I'm ready for it, girlfriend. I'm ready when you are. So are you
Lovely.
okay to give us a little snippet? This is a snippet about on this topic, which is beautiful. And this lovely lady's generous enough to really just, bless us with a little meditation before we close.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. Okay, thank you for allowing the opportunity too. Okay.
Can't wait.
So if you're driving, do this meditation when you're stopped. If you're at home, find a comfortable space, whether you're seated or whether you're lying down. And close your eyes and turn inward. Feel your sit bones on the surface beneath you. Feel your back against the surface beneath you. And take a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And another deep breath in through your nose. And on the exhale out, let your body relax and sink into the surface beneath you. And if it feels right for you in this moment, I invite you to set an intention for this meditation. Allow yourself to be open to receive messages. Allow yourself to be open to dream big. Allow yourself to go into the parts of you that you don't allow yourself to go to very often. And take another deep breath in and exhale out any tension that's left over. So I want you to visualize a path in front of you. So you look down at your feet and you begin to walk along this path. And as you're walking, you look up and you see a big gate. Curiosity continues you to walk towards this gate. It's majestic. It's surrounded by blue stone walls. And as you get closer, the gate is open just that little bit. You press the gate and it opens into a garden. Looking around, you notice that the garden is full of weeds. As you walk closer to the weeds, you then see that they represent things that have happened in your life. Relationship betrayal, trauma, hurt. You see your emotions that you're holding on to. Sadness, guilt maybe, disappointment. As you kneel down on the garden bed, you start pulling out these weeds. These weeds that are representing what's holding you back, what's keeping you stuck, what's keeping you small. Allow yourself to feel any emotions that come up as you see yourself pulling out the weeds of that garden bed. Now, once the weeds are all gone, you see soil. You see a space for you to grow a new garden. A garden full of your dreams, of your hopes, of emotions that you want to feel in your future, in your present. And I invite you now to start planting the seeds of what you want to cultivate in your life right now. And when you're done, you stand up and you look at the patch of soil in front of you that houses all your dreams, all your new emotions, and all the beautiful things that are coming into your life. You feel proud. You hold your head up high and you look to the sunshine and you smile. And just before you turn away, you notice that there's a bench. And you notice that there's a figure sitting on this bench. Slowly you walk to this bench and you begin to realize that it's a 9-year-old little you. She was sitting there watching you all along, taking out the old and bringing in the new. And as you sit down next to her, she has a message for you. And be open to hear and receive this message. So now it's your turn. What would you like to say to that little version of you, that little girl that's sitting in front of you? Now, as you finish your message, I invite you to give her a big hug. She's watching over your new garden of creation, of all the wonderful things. And you are safe, as is she. Now begin to exit the garden from the way that you came through. See those big, beautiful gates. And once you walk through, close that behind you. It is done, and it is done. And I invite you now to walk back on that path away from the garden and then slowly come back into your body. I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And when it feels right for you, open your eyes and come back into the space.
Wow, that was amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I so love that. And you know something else, for anyone who has listened, you may even want to go back and re-listen, and because that is so beautiful. And what you're going to find, that as a result of going back to the past, you change your future. So I do have to say that this has been an absolute amazing, just a beautiful podcast, and you have just shared so much of your heart and given so generously, and thank you so much. So we are going to put all of Vanessa's links into the show notes. And maybe we could even share the free, is it a free ebook, by the way, or is
Yes.
that, okay.
Yeah, free ebook. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful. And get in contact, because that healing to open your heart and be part of, you know, really calling in your divine significant other and really trusting and really loving on yourself that you are worth it. Vanessa, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and, you know, just for everything you've shared.
You're welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved sharing everything with you and with your audience. And yeah, that meditation at the end was very powerful. So I invite people to spend a bit more time on that if they can, and really visualize getting rid of those weeds, which is the old stuff, and then bringing in the new, because yeah, it's a very powerful one. So thank you for having me on.
I could actually do another podcast with you just discussing what I actually did when I pulled out the weeds and then what I put in there. But guys, you go ahead, enjoy and lift yourself up and know that you deserve it.
Absolutely.